I'd say with this album, particularly from my point of view, we kind of like to go into like a hibernation mode for a while in between albums. And that tends to happen quite a bit. Like we have big gaps. Like usually most bands will put an album out every year that try to do that. We've kind of sat back and lulled and mulled and taken our time, had children, and watched them grow a bit.
Not
and,
me.
Don's got children out there somewhere.
Don and I are the segregated half of no children. But this album itself has kind of it just evolved. Usually when we were doing it, we had 9 or 10 or 15, 20 songs, whatever it is. We had those already kind of fleshed out or written, and we brought them in. We recorded them. These ones kind of like evolved in the sense of like, okay, here's the start of it. Let's see where it goes. And by the end of practice, we had a song fleshed out, and we ended up moving and putting it over. Like Joel was saying, we'd record it fairly quickly after we did it. And it was just a different evolution of doing the album. The whole thing, how it came to us was like, we'd do a song, and there were some songs even that we were stumped for lyrics or what we could do. And when we were recording it, we'd record a verse and sit down and write the second verse and then record that. And it was like, yeah, that works. And it was more of a on the fly experience. And it was kind of actually cool in a way, because the product that finally came out was quite different sounding to what we've done on the previous 2 albums, but yet it still has its footing in the deep end of the pool of Transistor. It's I don't know. I think it's got our thumbprint on it and has a different, unique sound when you compare it to the other albums. I got to be honest. We actually paid another band to come in and record the whole thing for us.
Art of Noise finished the album for us.
I think we finally, like with as we moved along from track to track, I think by the end we had kind of hit a comfort factor. So I think in future maybe as we write songs, we'll record them as opposed to doing them in groups.
Yeah.
I think that Don's big thing. Don has the worst memory of the. We don't have great memories to begin with, but Don's.
I party much harder.
So Don is always got to record practice as well. I think we're kind of in a situation now that we're so comfortable with recording, and we've really figured out to do it in a way that's comfortable for us. I think that moving forward, after we write a song at practice, we can. It's like, okay, I'll just go home and lay down the drums, send them to you, and you guys can add on.
Yeah, and it was once we got into the rhythm of it, the whole satellite recording thing kind of really worked well. I found it allowed you the flexibility to play around with tracks, and if you weren't on that day, or if you were having something just wasn't happening, you'd say, okay, fuck it, I'll do it another day, and we'll go from there. And that happened a few times, and over the course, I'd say this album in all took us there's 9 songs on it, and from beginning to end, if we put down a timeline, it took us probably over 2 years. However, if you work out the actual time invested in it, we probably did the whole album in probably about a 3-month span, somewhere in that range.
Even quicker.
Yeah, maybe even quicker. We never really kept a running clock on it per se, but all we knew is that
quite often it's a 2-week period between times when we even actually get together.
Yeah,
only for maybe 4 hours maximum.
Yeah, and being kind of the stalwart, I was the guy who kind of tended to push everybody and say, okay, come on, let's get this going, because we've got to get this out by such and such a date. And everybody's like, yeah, okay, fine. And then 3 months would pass, and 4 months would pass. Be like, yeah, okay, hey guys, remember that album we're recording? And it's like, yeah. Let's get it out. Yeah, okay. Sure, whatever, guy. And we eventually got it out, but it probably would have been out in 1991 had we started on it in time.
So what would you guys say inspired the material for this particular album?
Definitely not drugs. This band's pretty straight.
Honestly, you know what? From my perspective, I feel I don't know. Maybe it was just the fact that we just felt free to just kind of do it at our own pace, and it just kind of, I don't know. Life seemed to be pretty good at the time, and
Yeah,
I don't know. Things just
we
kind of
kinda-
happened, you know.
Yeah, we kind of
I
felt
don't
free
think
to
we-
do what we want
I don't think
any old time.
we set out to make anything in particular. We have been gravitating towards more upbeat tunes. Toward the end, it was like, you know what? Everything is upbeat on this. We should at least maybe do one slower type song. So
Yeah, but it depends on what you define as being slow, because when you look at some songs like that, what's the name of the song? Outside Looking In? Yeah,
That's
that one there, it's got a rather, you know, I love the way it starts off, and the whole thing, it got a lot of sort of vision to the beginning of the song and all that. But, you know, it starts to get a groove of its own. It's not so laid, you know, it's so slow. Same as Last Round. Same thing, that the song's got a real bit of a different feel to it. And so they're not definitely a punk speed, but the thing is the songs do have a bit of a different groove to it that I wouldn't count as necessarily being slow.
Sorry, we're just all amazed that Don actually knows the names to the songs.
Well, actually, I just go to the inside-outside thingy.
We're kind of in shock.
if you ever see us play live, look for Don's chart. And if you want to ruin the gig, steal the chart, because he would be completely lost. He's got.
I'll just miss the first note.
That's true.
all.
Once-
Because, see,
once
I
the
can't
song
read
gets
music, and
started.
I don't know the names of my frets or anything. I know the names of my strings, and I use a tuner to set it, but I'm an ear player.
And look
Ever
very
since I
close-
started when I was 14, I never learned how to play bass, so it's all off the top of my head. I go into a place, somebody says, hey, do you know those songs? I said, no, just play it.
look very closely at Don's strings, or
Yes.
Don's fretboard, and he has little animals attached to the fretboard. And
It's not that
you'll be
bad.
like,
It's-
what,
Next song starts in
what-
giraffe.
Yeah, what song is
Yeah.
this? This one's in
Oh,
Rhinoceros.
he's this in Barney or Snoopy? Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not that bad.
We're
But I do
starting this
have
song in the
paper
key
right out
of
because I don't know
antelope.
notes. Yeah,
the
because
key
I-
of zebra. We're
Yeah.
gonna get starting low here.
yeah.
Let's not get silly. There's no zebra on there.
Yeah, or giraffe at this turn. Yeah, it's I got a piece of papers down there with all these symbols on, but not symbols, but basically because I only know the names of the strings, I'll just basically maybe say E5, so it tells me it's the E string, and then it's the 5th fret, and that's how and then I'll maybe have boom, 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 so I remember what it's doing. Because honestly, I can't remember one song's name from the next and all that. I just go with it, man. I just don't know where I'm
This is
going.
why we get more and more worried when he keeps adding on strings to his bass. He got the 5. It's like,
Oh
man.
no, it gives me room to run. I
And then
like
he
it.
got the 6 string. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's becoming a guitarist.
Well, I've got 4-string, 5-string, 6-string basses.
To go
and,
back to the-
I got
the
a
teacher
410
supply store
amp,
to get some more
and
stickers.
18, and rack units, and 210s, all that sort of shit. I like to have the sound, but I know where I'm
And
going.
everything is marked with a pictograph.
Yeah,
it's pretty insane.
Well, I
Actually.
am 18, you know, I think it's my native side, and me telling me I should draw a picture of I don't know, deer beside me. It's like, I don't,
He generally wears mucklucks to practice too.
It's pretty insane, actually, because the more strings he gets on his guitar and the older he gets, the more scared we become, because it's just like we know eventually those two paths will cross on the curve,
Yeah.
and it's just like he's going to forget everything.
Yeah.
But to be
No,
truly
no.
honest with you, Don is actually a much better bass player than we're
Yeah.
making him out to
Yeah.
be.
well,
we've got to have somebody to pick on, and I've had my share of it. So
But he honestly has probably the most fun as a rock guy than anybody else in this band.
I'm not
Don is a
married.
rock star for all four
He
of
is
us. in
definitely
this
the rock
band.
star of our band.
He lives the life. We can't really talk about half of it here,
Yeah.
but
It helps when you have a 4-door Tahoe with a bed in the back.
let's just tell you this, and we'll end it there on Don. Is that the winter camping is the most sane part of some of the stuff he does. So, yeah, that sums it up, I'd say.